So, today is August 22nd, 2025, at the time of recording, and the first album by the band 3 Days Grace to feature the original vocalist, Adam Gontier, since 2012, 13 years ago, has officially been released. Now, admittedly, they actually did something fairly similar to what Hayley Williams did recently with her own solo project that is becoming her third solo album. The band created their own website like she did, and they set it up so if you agreed to share your location with other people who were using the site, depending on how many people were around you that were also using the site and listening to the album early, would determine how well, it would determine your quality for streaming the album. Really cool idea, but I think I do prefer the way Hayley did it for her stuff, but that's a different conversation. But still, really cool idea. But the album is officially released, which is cool. And 3 Days Grace is a band that I've talked about so many times on this channel and on my other channel for music-specific stuff. And they were one of the first bands that I truly got into because I liked them. So they'll always hold that very special place in my heart, even if I've moved away from listening to them, like, religiously. And for me, a lot of that also does come down to the fact that, one, I've just, been really discovering what I like and what I want from music anyway. And I do have some of my own issues with the band, with the writing, the musicality, and everything like that, on top of it all. But in saying that, I am not a Matt Walsh era hater. I think Matt has done a great job, a fantastic job, originally just filling in on the Transit of Venus tour, and then becoming the official full-time frontman. I think Human is okay with some generally very good songs. I like Outsider significantly more, and even half of that album quite a lot. But then their last album, 2022's Explosions, I think personally is easily their worst album. I think it's bad. The writing is not very good. The band feels like they're just coasting on their laurels. They're on autopilot. Nothing feels very interesting to me. And of course that led me, among other things, to just stepping away from the band, not being as interested or as into them, and just kind of moving on. And I was okay with that, and I'm still okay with that. But in saying all of that, when I first saw online Adam and Neil both posting at the same time how they finally got together, they had lunch, they put the past behind them, and they finally, after all those years, rekindled that original friendship that dates back to, when they were kids, dates back even before they were Groundswell, before they changed their name to become 3 Days Grace, back when they were just a very unknown Canadian grunge band. And that felt really cool. And of course, I didn't expect anything to come from that, to be brutally honest, because 3 Days Grace was doing their thing. Adam was doing his thing in Saint Asonia, along with some other solo shows. I expected nothing to come from that. But eventually, we would learn that Neil and Adam getting back together, rekindling their friendship, would lead to even more. Which, I guess does make sense when I really think about it, because, Adam really hadn't ever said anything negative about Brad, Barry, or even Matt, to be honest. And with Brad and Matt, and of course Neil as well, they all go back years. Again, basically to when they were kids, playing in little local bands and stuff like that. before they ever could imagine becoming household names in rock music today. So yeah, and for the record, by the way, some of you, I know, are just Matt Walsh era haters. You do not like the Matt era of the band. And for the record, I'm going to say this because it is absolutely 100% true, and you can even fact check this. Like, I'll show it on screen as well, but you can even fact check it yourself. Matt Walsh, the brother Brad, is even credited on earlier albums in the writing process. He's always been around. And to be honest, he's more of an original member of the band than even Barry is. But regardless, that little side note aside, I did think it was really cool when we did learn it was leading to more. And they were jamming, they were writing and recording, and things were going to be, going back to kind of how they were, but also things were going to be a little bit different too. It was kind of like it seemed like it was going to be kind of the best of both worlds, at least ideally. And now, admittedly, as we start to get into, the build up to, the release of this new album, Alienation, I still wasn't thrilled. I still wasn't that interested or excited. I was just more morbidly curious. You know what I mean? Because, again, I hated explosions. I have some issues, even with, like, some of the best of, like, the Adam era of the band. I was never too big of a fan of the Matt era, though I do still like a lot of the stuff that came out at the time for those albums. And hell, I mean, I'm not a big fan of Saint Asonia's first album or the 2 EPs following Flawed Design, though I love Flawed Design. I think Flawed Design is easily some of Adam's best writing, period. But again, that's a different conversation that I've had a little bit, but I might do a full video on that at some point. But yeah, like, I have some of my own issues in general, like I've kind of said a couple of times already here. But yeah, with the spot they have in my heart, and they'll always have in my heart, I was morbidly curious, and I was going to check it out anyway. So yeah, I was following the band online, kind of keeping up with some things. I was right there when Mayday, the lead single for Alienation, first dropped in later 2024. Whatever say, mate. And I thought, okay, this is okay. It obviously opens up with Adam's vocals, as you would probably expect at that point, with him, that being the first song they released with him back in the band. That does make sense. But the song features both Adam and Matt prominently together on the track. But I still felt like, again, to me anyway, Mayday felt like it was just a Matt era song featuring Adam. That's how it felt to me, to be honest. And it still kind of feels that way to me, and I'll talk about that later when I start talking about the songs more. So I thought it was okay, better than anything on Explosions, but still not even better than, like, some of the best from the Matt era, and certainly not better than anything from, like, the best of the Adam era, like classic era, if you will. But it's like, it's still okay. And then the next single came out, and that was Apologies, and I thought, okay. This is them doing something a little bit different. Normally, when the band does something a little bit different, it clicks with me. My favorite album is Transit of Venus, after all. The album where they actually did things a little bit differently. So, I think Apologies won me over a little bit more. I didn't come back to it all that much, but I liked it a little bit more than Mayday. Then the third single, of course, was Dominate. And that felt a little closer to, like, classic 3 Days Grace. And I thought, okay, I think this is probably overall the best single so far, though I probably came back to Apologies a little bit more. And then they had the fourth single, Kill Me Fast, which I intentionally avoided. I don't like listening to, like, when I know an album's coming out, as much more of like an album enjoyer and listener, when I know an album's coming out, I don't like to constantly listen to a bunch of singles. And I know that's becoming more and more of a thing. I do understand why it's a thing, but I don't have to play a ball with that. So I did the first 3 singles and didn't listen to Kill Me Fast until the album dropped today. So yeah, that was kind of like all the build up there and kind of my thoughts leading into it. And I do have some notes, some general notes that I started taking when I sat down with the record this morning before I left for work. And right away I wanted to say, with the album officially out, I have now listened to the first 3 singles again in context of the album. And I do like them all, and feel they all work. I don't think any of them are really the band's strongest material, but I am genuinely a whole hell of a lot more interested than I was with Explosions. And now, I'm hoping they can keep it going. And then I also want to say, if there's one thing I can say super positively about this album so far, it's that everyone feels like they're playing their asses off for the first time since Life Starts Now. And that's something when I revisited the album fairly recently, last year, I should say. I revisited basically everything that they had put out for the first time in quite a while. And Life Starts Now is an album that has always stuck out to me in that way, and I was finally able to really put it into words a little bit more. And part of what I love about Life Starts Now so much is musically, instrumentally, on that album specifically, everyone in the band just felt like they were playing their fucking asses off. They all felt like they had something to prove almost. And that album has some of genuinely, I think that album has some of the best bass work from Brad, some of the best drumming from Neil, some of the best vocals from Adam, and some of the best guitar work from Barry. Again, everyone just felt like they were playing their asses off, and this album feels like, again, they have a renewed energy, and they're doing the same thing. They're playing their asses off. And I appreciate that. Because that's just something that I haven't really felt in so long from this band. It felt really like they were coasting on their laurels for so long. But yeah, no one's really feeling like they're phoning it in at all. And that is such a relief to me. The whole album actually has such a renewed energy, like I said, and that's just the best thing about it. And I really love that there are songs that feel like the Matt era, the Adam era, and a lot that combine the two together. I would genuinely recommend this album to people who just couldn't get into the Matt era of the band. This is the strongest material in quite a while. Again, it's not their best, but it's been such a pleasant surprise for me. And the bar, for me, was set very low. So the opening track is Dominate, the third of 4 singles for the album. And this still feels like the most classic 3 Days Grace to me of the singles. Even then, I don't know if I entirely agree with that sentiment at this point, though. Of the pre-release singles, I think this is the actual mix of both eras of the band. The verses feel a bit more Adam era to me, and the chorus feels a bit more Matt era. Either way, I do actually like the song. It's grown on me a bit more, and I do think it works as a way to open this album. I do think it's pretty damn shallow lyrically, but they've literally said that they just wanted to make a sort of workout anthem, and I think this song is better than the other times they've tried that. The next song is Apologies, which of course is the second single, and I remember liking this more than Mayday when I was listening to the singles. And this feels at least a little bit different to what the band normally does. Funny enough, now that I'm listening with the context of the album being out, I think the song is a bit of an inverse to Dominate. The verses feel a bit more Matt era, and the chorus actually reminds me a bit of Saint Asonia. Then they change things up a little bit with the bridge, while still feeling like 3 Days Grace, and I still dig Apologies. Of course, then we have Mayday, the lead single, for this new era of the band. This is the way that they reintroduced Adam to the band when the song first dropped in fall 2024. I felt that this song felt a bit more Matt era featuring Adam, and I still kind of agree. With more time with it, I can say that I do like the instrumental a lot. Everyone feels like they're trying a bit more, and I think it sounds good. And I can still picture this being on a Matt era album, but there are parts that do feel like Adam as well. I do think the lyrics are kind of whack, especially that first line of the chorus. We walk like dead people who haven't died yet. The bridge, funny enough, feels very Matt era to me, and I like it. And I actually kind of wish we got more aggressive vocals from Matt over the years. He's pretty damn good at it. And this is certainly not my favorite, but I do like it. Then the final single, which I listened to the first time, like I said, in context of the album. Kill Me Fast. If you're right at the edge or you found someone else. And I said I'm already liking this more than the other singles, that is. It starts off with Adam, and it's really reminding me of Saint Asonia minus Mike's guitar work, and I'm digging it. I intentionally avoided this song before release because I don't like the constant releasing of singles, but I really like this song. I like the bass in the verses and the drums in the pre-chorus. The song really feels like Adam took the lead, and I think it's easily the best single of the four. I really do believe they could have released the song first, and it would have worked just as well. And I also wanted to shout out Barry's lead part in the bridge, which I liked quite a bit. I know, but tell me when it's... And then we have the first, I guess, deep cut, if you will, in Waves. Lost you in the waves, and the world just keeps rolling. The first deep cut on this new album, and immediately that intro reminds me a bit of Life Starts Now, and I'm here for it. That lead part in the chorus is great. The chorus is actually quite heavy for 3 Days Grace. It's not metal, but I'm really fucking with it. And goddamn, I'm really pleasantly surprised by the album so far. I really didn't think the band could do it again, but I think Adam coming back was the kick in the ass the band needed to do more than the 3 Days Grace status quo, and I'm really here for it. Then we have the title track, Alienation. Outsiders, fallen fighters, no one knows we're making an alienation. And I said, I'm here for it right away. Okay, that chorus is honestly just a much better version of I Am an Outsider. I don't know if this is my favorite, but I do like this quite a bit. Again, I really like the guitar work, though it does feel a bit weird to have the title track right in the middle, but I'm not against it. Then we have the song Never Ordinary. And I said this song immediately starts off different, and honestly, that's for the best. It's in the middle of the album, and we've had the same vibe for the most part throughout the album so far. This song does pick up a lot in the chorus, and I gotta say, I love Lindsey Sterling's violin in this song. It's so good. We also get some female vocals at points in the song too, which is just pretty sweet. At first, I was just kind of like, okay, I was liking it, but it's like, okay. But the extra vocals and the violin definitely pushes this near the top for me. But then we have track 8, Death Wish. Every day like it's the last. There's no future, there's no past. And I said the opening really feels straight up lifted from earlier 3 Days Grace, but I'm still here for it. Neil's fill right before the second verse was pretty cool, and I still like Barry's lead parts a lot. And just as I was thinking that I wanted more soloing, I got it with this song. Though there's not a lot of soloing on this album. Not really. I guess 3 Days Grace has never been like a big guitar solo band, but still, I would like if they did it a little bit more. Regardless, just as I wanted a little bit more of it, I got it here, and I do like that a lot. And I said this album, honestly, is just getting better throughout. Though, I do wish we could get some more Saint Asonia style guitar work. But that aside, we move into track 9, Don't Wanna Go Home Tonight.
I've been thinking about the good times when the story was still ours to write.
And again, this song starts off differently immediately. And I said right away, this is a song for me. In the same way that some of my favorites are Lost in You and Time That Remains, this song evokes the feeling of those songs. And I'm not saying that this is better than those, but I love this song. I love Don't Wanna Go Home Tonight. Again, it feels like a song made for me, and I love it. But then we have track 10, In Cold Blood.
Narcissism was our religion. Trust and love became the victims. Hungry heart, starving out.
And I said, now it's back to business as usual. I was feeling just okay about this song, but the chorus goes really hard. This song, like the rest of the album, feels like a good mix of old, new, and Saint Asonia thrown in. And also, that bridge was pretty heavy. The Power.
Today I lost my peace of mind inside a poison paradise.
Yeah, this is 3 Days Grace. You know, Brad's bass line is standing out more in this song, too. And I'm a broken record at this point, but this fits right in as a really good mix of the two eras coming together. And then we have the closing track, Another Relapse.
Maybe just a little taste won't kill me. I get so close, you take me right back.
And I said, the final track, and with this title, to me, the title alone feels like it's going to be an Adam-led track, but we actually open with Matt. And right away I noticed that this is probably the most Matt-only vocals on the whole album. Matt takes the whole first verse and has lines where it's just him in the chorus. But in saying that, the song still feels a bit more Adam-led to me. Like, him leading the kind of like process behind the scenes to make this song. And you know, I think this is actually the perfect song to close this album on. I don't know if this is what they were going for, but this song could be them using Adam's past issues and him battling his demons as a way to say that Adam rejoining the band could be fun. Even if potentially temporary, though. When looking at it that way, I think it's pretty cool. The wounded relationships in the band are mended, Adam's back, Matt's still here, and this album is honestly pretty killer. The comparison works for me knowing that Adam's still sober too, and he's relapsing on the band specifically. And I think it's a good move to close out this way. All in all, this album is a success. The first 3 Days Grace album with Adam Gontier in 13 years, and it surpassed my expectations. In my opinion, it's a good mix of the classic era of the band and the Matt era, with a little Saint Asonia thrown in for good measure. I still don't think it's their best, but it's easily surpassed my expectations, which I think is necessary to say, as I'm not a hater of the Matt era, but I really do hate explosions. This album shows that 3 Days Grace can still put out something good while doing more than just coasting on their laurels. In the album ranking, Tyson and I, my best friend, that is, in the album ranking that the two of us did a couple years ago at this point, I gave my favorite album, Transit of Venus, my lone gold tier spot, with Life Starts Now in 1X right behind in the silver tier. I would put this album right behind 1X for me. I still prefer Transit of Venus, Life Starts Now, and 1X, but as of right now, I like this more than the rest of the albums. And yeah, I think it's a very, very solid album, all things considered, and I think, for me, it's a bit of a return to form. But if you were curious how I would, at least as of right now, so shortly after release of the album, how I would rank the songs, my favorite right now is Don't Wanna Go Home Tonight, followed by In Waves, Another Relapse, Never Ordinary, The Power, In Cold Blood, Death Wish, Kill Me Fast, Alienation, Apologies, Dominate, and Mayday is my least favorite. But I do actually like every song on the album, and I was not expecting that. So, I think the guys killed it, showed that once again, they can still provide a kick-ass album, and that makes me very interested to see what they potentially do next. But that was me talking about my early first impressions, if you will, of the new 3 Days Grace album, Alienation. I think it's solid as hell. I do like it, but I don't think it's their best. But I think it is a very good album, actually. Highly recommend it, even if you couldn't really get into the Matt era of the band. That's all I got. That's it. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, comment below, share up our social media, do all that good stuff. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye, guys.